Alright, so there's a couple products I'm going to do kind of a review on. The first one is actually this Bar's head gasket, head seal, blown head gasket repair stuff with the reinforced carbon fiber. I know on the internet a lot of people have said, not to use stuff like this because it'll clog your cooling system, heater core, things like that. And some of the other stuff I've read, looked at, requires you to flush your cooling system, add water. I mean, a lot of different steps that need to be taken, and I didn't have the money to replenish my coolant and all that stuff. Because I'm just a firm believer in once the coolant comes out, you don't reuse it, you recycle it and put new stuff in. But I did have a head gasket issue. I suspect it was a blown head gasket somewhere, I think on the left side of the engine. Alright, I was getting combustion gases inside the cooling system, and it was overpressurizing it and all that stuff. I don't know how long I've been dealing with that, but it's been for quite a while, and I decided to try this stuff because I don't have the money to do an upper end rebuild on the engine right now. So where I got another engine I want to put in it, I'd rather just put money into that. So these are common problems that this stuff fixes. And mine was overpressurizing and combustion gases in it. Wasn't overheating, but I did have bubbles in the coolant. And I did have a little bit of white exhaust smoke, and obviously the overpressurizing. There was no coolant in the crankcase or anything, so that was good there. So I actually put this in the truck a few days ago. It's actually, today's Monday. I put this in on Friday, so 3 days ago-ish is when I put this stuff in. Somewhere on the box here, it does say that it does not, it's guaranteed not to clog. Well, we know about guarantees and stuff, so again, I'm going to try this out. But one thing I can say is the box, it does say fixes repairs instantly. If you guys just read the box. One dose stops all head gasket coolant problems, guaranteed. Okay, but also somewhere on here it does say most leaks will fix instantly. Well, I will say that's the case with this. I was only able to put about 3/4 of the bottle in. I was only able to put 3/4 of the bottle, so I still got a little bit just in case I need it in the cooling system. And after I ran it through, it's 15 minutes, cooled down, added a little more, topped off the coolant, ran it again. The problems were gone. The issues I was having was I put my spill-free funnel kit onto this, ran it for about 45 minutes after reaching operating temperature, and just bubbles just continued to come out of the system, just continued to come out. Alright, that indicated to me I had a definite head gasket issue. I definitely had combustion gases getting into the cooling system. Since then, and the other way is this would fill up to here and wouldn't drain back. Would not drain back. After running it, it would get up to just above the full line and it wouldn't drain back. So after adding that stuff, everything's working fine now. Every time before I would open this up, and that would actually be the amount of coolant that was in that from the add to the full line would be not in here. It would be low, and I'd have to pull that out of its holder and drain it back in. Well, I've drove this thing for the last couple of days, and so far it's doing really good. It's actually draining back. Like it should be. I need 2 hands for this for a second. So I'd have to say at least half of what they say on that product does work. I do notice that it starts better. No more smoke out the tailpipe, things like that. So I know it's working. at this point. It's actually pressurizing better and it's staying cooler. Definitely that part of it works. If there is any seal issues or leakage issues, it fixes it. The other thing I also added, just a couple months ago actually, was I added a new radiator. This is a dual core aluminum radiator, and I deleted the mechanical fan and added a electric fan. The fan controller, I know my wiring job's kind of shoddy, but I will be fixing a bunch of this stuff down the road. And the other thing I also did a few months back also was added a relay here, and I know it looks crappy, but I did this on purpose. It's safe, but I did this on purpose so when I do my wiring videos, I can show you guys some of the crappy and shoddy wiring jobs people do compared to what should be done. This I kind of done in a pinch because I needed to get it done and get it done fast. So this all I will be redoing and making look a lot better than it is now. This fan controller is a Hayden unit from O'Reilly's. It does have the screw-in sensor, not the probe. I'd rather have the sensor style, not the probe. Retails for right around $70-ish, depending on where you're at. But where I'm at, it's about $70. Comes with the relay, your thermostatic controller, and then all your wires. It has the provisions to run dual fans. You can put 2 fans on it, and it'll run 2 fans just fine. So I do have that. I did modify this fan controller. This green wire right here is actually designed to plug into your positive side of your AC clutch wiring harness. So that way when you turn your AC on, it'll actually kick the fan on too. Well, as you can tell, I don't have factory air conditioning on this truck. I don't have air conditioning at all on this truck. So what I did, and I tested this by jumping this to the battery, and it actually turns the fan on. So what I did is I connected this to inside the cab to a switch, and then connected the switch to the fuse box to a keyed source. So when the key is on either on accessory or on the on position, I could flip that switch, and it actually, as a manual override for this, it allows me to turn my fan on. So this has been another big repair I had to do a couple months ago, because the old radiator actually sprung a hole in the core down in this area and leaked all my coolant out while I was driving home from work one night. So yeah, that's very, very interesting. So the new lower hose, I had to replace this about a couple weeks after I bought the truck, because the guy that I bought it from had this part, this big U part right here, flipped around to where it went like this, and then actually used a bungee cord or something to pull it out of the way of the fan instead of turning it 180 degrees and running it this way. But even no matter how I have that routed now, I don't have to worry about it because I don't have the mechanical fan on here anymore. And this big Hayden fan, it's the biggest one that the O'Reilly stores have, actually does a pretty good job on keeping this cool when it's at idle. So, but because I am going to be upgrading to a bigger engine, God knows when. I still haven't even gotten the engine built yet. Haven't gotten anything for it. It's just been sitting in my storage shed. But since I am going to be upgrading to that, I did get the larger 2-core radiator from Murray. It's about $150 for this unit. These mounts will fit it, but the rubber isolators inside will not. And I can't find the rubber isolators for this. That's actually a little loose. I have to tighten that up. But the radiator itself fits in here just fine. I didn't have to do any sort of mods to these. Actually, I had to go to a junkyard and pull these mounts. Actually, this one is one of the original ones that came with the truck. I did have to mod in order to fit here, because these ones were already modded. This is what the mount should look like. It's got a little bend right here to go around this lip, and it comes out. Well, the dipshits before me that own this before I got it, somebody took this mount, flattened this part out, and then bent it up like this at a 90. And they put a smaller radiator in here, and they actually had it drilled into the sides, or bolted into the sides right here. And I could tell you by the way these were bent, that that's what they did. This isn't an original mount. They modified these mounts to fit that smaller radiator. And that's ultimately the radiator that went kaput on me. I do have the other, I did go to a salvage yard and pull these mounts. I am going to have to tighten that up. Pull these mounts. And this one, I couldn't get the other one to fit for some reason, so I just went back to using this one. But as long as the radiator isn't vibrating or moving on me, I'm happy. And that is true. This is solid. It's not going anywhere. And so far, going down the road, this thing will actually cool it more than what it should. Coming over here to cab. Look at my temperature gauge. I'm figuring normal operating temperature is about right where the needle is. About right there. Maybe a little bit above it. The fan will kick on as soon as it gets to 210, and it'll drop it down to this mark. Just sitting at idle with no airflow going through it, the fan will cool it that much. And then driving down the road, it'll actually bring it down just a little bit, about halfway in between the 100 and this line here. So I know it does a good job cooling. So my heater fan switch and my manual override switch for the engine fan. And then some of the other things I've done is I've installed the CB halfway. I don't have the antennas in yet, but at least this is in here. And I don't care about this old rotten dash, so I just drilled the mic holder into it right there. I installed a new 12-volt power source right there, but my ashtray is a little fuckered up. It won't go up, so I got to pull that out and fix that. These speakers are bad. I'm going to be replacing those. I got something I'm going to do with those. So walking around, this is eventually actually going to be my new tool cart. Yep. Just some random junk. Parts to another car I've been working on. I don't have videos on that repair because it was also under time restraints. It is struts and CV shafts on that one. And then just a bunch of random garbage back here I'm eventually gonna to haul off to the city dump. Eventually. So, and the other thing I also noticed is, even though I did put some Teflon tape on this little plug here, it was still leaking. I still got water intrusion out of it, and it looks like camera looks like I still might, even though I put thread sealer. At first I used Teflon tape, and then I put thread sealer on there, and it actually looks like it hasn't changed. The green residue is from it before. I didn't clean it. I just pulled it out, cleaned the threads, and put some thread sealer on it and put it back in. But it looks like I'm not getting any sort of water intrusion out of it now. Well, one of the other future projects that I'm going to be doing here soon before I take a trip to Arizona is the valve covers. Look at all that sludgy gooiness. Yeah, the valve covers are going to be coming off, and I'm going to be redoing the valve cover gaskets on it. And one of the other things I'm going to be doing is deleting this smog pump shit. And as you can tell from me panning over this, I don't have any of this hooked up. Hey, there's the wiring to the pumps I'm going to be removing. Obviously the pumps, I haven't had these hooked up since I bought it. I just keep this stuff on here because I do get exhaust gases coming out through this pipe when this stuff isn't plugged in. So to reduce that, reduce the noise and the possible, exhaust gas emissions from coming in here, I just keep this stuff hooked up for now. But I'm eventually, and I've seen videos on YouTube and stuff, and I know people out there are going to say, just cut them, bend them over, or cut them and weld them. I don't have a welder, and I think that looks shoddy. I think that looks shitty, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to remove them down here and either find a plug to put into these ports on the exhaust manifold, or find a set of headers or a different set of exhaust manifolds that I can put on this and redo my exhaust system a little bit to make them fit from the pipe back and delete them that way. I don't need emissions on this, so there's no reason why I need that stuff. I am going to be doing an EGR delete. I do have that kit available as well. So one of the things I'm going to be testing out today also is this Z-Max kit. It was highly recommended from a few people I work with who said they've used it. It's an engine and fuel treatment. I've never used this stuff. I don't know how well it works. I've done some reviews online, but I'm going to be looking into this further before I use it. But from what I understand, it's a two-part system that cleans your fuel system and cleans your engine oiling system, which means there's a engine formula here you put in, and it's supposed to flush and clean all the good portion of the sludge out of your engine. And that's what I'm looking to do, is flush the oil system before doing an oil change. And that's what I'm going to be looking into this, and then I'll be doing a couple series of videos on if this stuff actually works or not. I've used the gunk engine flush, and it seemed to have worked a bit, but that one you seem to have to repeat every time you do an oil change for almost a whole year, especially with these older vehicles where you're doing oil changes every 3 months or 3,000 miles. You've got to flush at least 4 times a year to get it decently clean. I'm looking for something that can give it a good thorough clean in one hit. So that's what I'm going to be looking at doing with this, is seeing how well this stuff works. But I can tell you right now, this stuff so far works. It's only been a couple of days, but so far it works. And if there's any more problems or the stuff stops working and I got to do another treatment on it, then I will be sure to let you guys know. And I'll be definitely letting Bars Leak Professional know that their product sucks if it does. But so far, so good. And if anybody from Bars Leak sees this when I put it up, so far so good. After 2 full days, we're looking 2.5 full days since I put this in. All right, this stuff works so far. I did buy these for my new spark plug wires, which I have somewhere down in this rubbish mess that I'm going to be cleaning up. I do have a new cap rotor wires, obviously, down in here in this rubbish of shit. And I will be doing my oil change today, and a couple other things if I can today. I will be doing. And another great product I find, and I love it, is this little fancy little phone holder. It's got a magnet on it, and there's the base, and all you got to do is put your magnet on your phone inside your case, on the outside of your case, and it just slap it to the little green plus sign thingy there, a little green cross, and it sticks. And trust me, with as bumpy as this truck gets going down the road, that thing stays on there. So that's another good handy device to have. So I'm going to get reading on the instructions on this box, see how this stuff works, and then we'll get back with you.